Welcome to sportsbookreview.com. This is week 10 of Premier League, and a happy Thanksgiving Day to all of you in America and around the world who are joining us. Have a great day, and we appreciate all the support that you give us. Obviously, we've got Matt here, who's been moaning that he's having to work on Thanksgiving Day because he can smell the turkey. Let's hope we don't bet any turkeys this weekend, because we did all right again last week. We're starting to edge the right direction. We've got Matt and we've got Martin, as usual. But first of all, if you like this video, then please subscribe, press the button, ring the bell. Ring the bell means that we'll notify you, and you'll never miss any content again. And the way that the calendar's going with the NCAA-B and the NCAA-F and the NFL, and by the way, I went 8-0 on props on Monday night, and I'm still living off that one. So listen, there's so much going on. Just make sure you subscribe. We're getting closer and closer to 75,000, and it's only down to you spreading the word and us doing a great job, to be fair. Now, Martin, Premier League last week was decent on the back of International Week. Now we've got on this week on the back of Champions League and Europa League.
Yeah, it's a very difficult seasonal round. They're trying to condense too many games into a short space of time, which does play havoc upon us bettors. A bit difficult to know how some of the teams are going to fare. But you look at a team like Liverpool, rested a lot of key players against Atalanta, so you would expect them to be in pretty decent shape. Man City and stuff have got a reasonably large squad, and I would expect Tottenham to rest players for their Thursday night game tonight, so they'll be fresh for the Chelsea match. So I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact. But yeah, looking forward to this round of fixtures at the weekend. I think we've got some exciting games up ahead.
Matt, before you get yourself stuck into that turkey, and by the way, my other half's a vegetarian, so I can only look on with plenty envy that you're going to get your the big like Emery the Eighth. Liverpool, Man City, the usual suspects are now going to be very high up on my priority list.
Yes, I mean, why not? Those are the two best teams in this league. My mom's actually a vegetarian, Flash, so I know exactly how that goes. She's been that for 35 plus years, but I'm already feeling a little bit full on this Thanksgiving. I'm rooting on this Texans team total in right now. Different sport, but we're going to have fun with this one across the pond. Okay,
then let's crack straight off with the record then, please, Fab. Get it up. I edged a little bit closer to that 10-unit mark. Martin, minus 1.44. Matt, minus 7.58, but obviously that came down. Flash, down to 12.10. Remember, that was nearly 16 a couple of weeks ago. Team Parlay, 0.85 in the good, and the total 20.73, and that was down from mid-21. So let's go in the right direction. I fancy this weekend. I really do. Watched a lot of football last week. See a lot of pointers. Very unlucky with my Fulham double chance getting beat 3-2. But I told you, Liverpool, never look a gift horse in the mouth, and they went and done the business. Let's kick straight off with Crystal Palace at plus 130, draw plus 230, Newcastle plus 250. Martin, Palace looks stronger and more threatening than Newcastle.
They do. They have improved going forwards this season. Crystal Palace is not just the Wilfried Zaha show anymore. He does have a bit more support, which is encouraging for Crystal Palace fans. But yeah, I expect Newcastle to bounce back with a semi-decent performance at some point. They didn't show up against Chelsea last weekend, and Steve Bruce has got to read this team the riot act at some point. They really haven't found consistency over the course of the season, and I'm a bit reluctant to bet against them because I just don't think they're going to keep losing. I could see this maybe finishing a draw. If I was going to go for anything, I'd be looking at under 2.5 goals, as these aren't particularly ambitious teams, and I think it'll be quite a turgid affair. Pretty surprised that they've chosen this as the early game, but yeah, maybe I'll skip this one and move straight on to Brighton v Liverpool.
Yeah, and we can't talk about Crystal Palace without mentioning what a star this boy's going to be. I mean, he really is like a duck to water. I know it's a cliche, but he is such a talent, and I hope that he continues to grow. And obviously, that just gives them another string to their bow, because obviously you've got Zaha one side, Townsend the other side, as they now moving about. And teams are going to be struggling, because normally they used to double up on Zaha. Matt, do you like Palace and Newcastle?
I do like it a little bit, actually. So late in the week on Monday, I ended up taking Burnley at a pick'em against Palace when I saw the Zaha news. We know how important he is to that team. Eze, as you guys talk about, though, is fantastic. He's a guy to watch all season long. And in this match here, I'm not sure if it goes over or under 2.5, but I think that BTTS looks decent here at even odds. BTTS has come in.
That's both teams to score, by the way.
Yes.
That's the new one that Matt's thrown in there, BTTS.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I need to educate a little bit more. Yeah, both teams to score has come in for the last 8 matches in Palace games, or at least they've conceded one in their last 8, and 6 of the last 8 for Newcastle have seen both teams to score. I see this as a 1-1, maybe a 1-1 exacta for a little bit of fun, but yeah, Eze looks great. No Zaha. So, but I think that Palace in that right against Burnley should have scored, and I think that one should have ended 1-1. So I've gone for both teams to score in this one at even odds.
Okay, I just like Crystal Palace, to be honest. I'm not going to get involved because the next game, I am definitely getting all in, and boots and all. Brighton plus 470, draw plus 300, and Liverpool minus 150. Matt, they're your side, Liverpool. Very impressive from last week. They're injury ravaged, and yet they've still got the players to hurt you.
Totally. And this is a matchup that they have dominated for a long time, ever since Brighton have come up in this league. The aggregate, I looked into it a little bit. The aggregate is 16-3 to Liverpool since Brighton have come up. So it has been butt kicking after butt kicking, really, in this matchup. And I don't see why not here as well. Again, Liverpool fielded a halfway decent side in the Champions League. They already had 9 points. I think it was more of a cautious feel for Jurgen Klopp. He starts some of the youngsters, and they get beat 2-0 like they should have against Atalanta. So I expect the big boys to be back. Jota will start in this match, and they will go with that front three that has been electric thus far this season. Liverpool and over 1.5 is the only way that I can look here.
Yeah, I've done that. That's me. I've done Liverpool to win and over 1.5. Martin, I think that they can go and win comfortably.
Full house flash. Yeah, that was my tip as well. Liverpool to win and over 1.5 goals looks like great value. I had a little midweek 4-team accumulator of all the English teams: Chelsea, Man United, Man City, and Liverpool. And first 3 won, and then I saw that Liverpool starting 11 against Atalanta, and my heart just sank because he didn't look capable of beating Atalanta. He rested too many players. But on the flip side, that means they'll be well rested. They'll be fired up for this game. And like Matt says, Liverpool just always seem to batter Brighton every time they play them. Brighton aren't the most defensive of teams anymore, especially when they push their fullbacks, their wing backs high up the pitch. Leave with a back three, they're not going to be able to deal with the pace and power of the likes of Mane and Jota. So, yeah, Liverpool over 1.5 goals for me too.
Yeah, Harry Dockett, he says, isn't half the Liverpool team out? Which half? But he's still going to have like Mane and Firmino and Jota. And then you've got Keita, Ronaldo. The list is endless. It's just unbelievable, the depth that they've got. Now, Man City at minus 475. Never going to get rich on that. Draw plus 700 and Burnley plus 1800. I don't see Burnley scoring, Martin. So then the question is, do Man City score twice? Because you can go Man City minus 1.5 on the Asian handicap.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Flash. It sounds like you like the look of Man City based on that little intro that you gave, but I'm unconvinced that those sort of odds. I mean, I think they could maybe scrape a victory, get a 1-0, get 2-1, something like that. They've looked a bit inconsistent in the opening weeks of the season. They were poor against Tottenham last weekend. I guess you could argue that they're like a wounded animal and they'll bounce back and thrash Burnley. Yeah, they definitely have it within them to take Burnley apart. But Burnley just picked up their first win. They could have a bit of momentum, a bit of confidence going into this game. They're not an easy team to play against. They put a lot of balls into the box. And, yeah, I don't know. I think they could make Man City work hard for this one. So I just couldn't find the value on it. I'm going to pass. But definitely interested to hear your picks.
Matt, interested in finding some value in the Man City game, or do you just think it's Man City win and I'll move on?
Well, it is one of those matches where I watched Burnley. I watched the full 90 minutes against Palace. I've watched a few matches this season, and with Tarkowski back, with Mead in the side, I think that they can hang around this one for a while. I think that for me, it's a pass. I don't like betting on Man City matches really in general. It's hard to find the value, like Martin touched on, but under 2.5 here at plus 185 looks decent. Under 3.5 at minus 140 looks okay as well. I see maybe a 2-0 City here. I do think it'll be tough for Burnley to score. They played the long ball all day long against Palace and luckily came away with a 1-0 win, but I don't think that'll prove to be a right recipe against Man City here. So, yeah, it looks like a 2-0 type of Man City win.
Let's hope so. No, I don't mind if it's 5-1. Next game I really like this game, but I haven't been able to press the button because it's one of those that I probably will, like I did with Leeds. I went with Leeds double chance last week at really good odds at home to Arsenal. Everton are minus 105, Matt. Draw plus 290 and Leeds at plus 280. I've got Leeds double chance. I've got both teams to score an over. I also thought that Leeds might win this at plus 280.
I couldn't talk you off of that one, the way that Everton defended last week against Fulham. Here we are, guys, week 10 of the Premiership, and here's my first banker. This is going to be the one. I've gone with both teams to score and the over 2.5. I sent it to Flash on Monday. It's just one of those that I watched the entirety of Everton Fulham. Fulham were all over that back line of Everton. I believe that Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin can create enough here. But let's just go through some of the trends, some of the stats. The last 8 matches at Goodison have seen BTTS land. 10 of 11 Everton matches have seen over 2.5 goals scored. Leeds have won 5 of 7 away from home. I think that Leeds deserved a little bit more, Martin, last week against Arsenal. They probably should have had 1 or 2 and beaten your Gunners there. But the bar came into mind for Leeds and whatnot. So, it comes to the fact where I don't trust this Everton defense, and I think that Leeds can still be a little bit leaky against a good front 3. So BTTS and over 2.5 for me at minus 105 is what I grabbed early on in the week at a banker price.
I just wish Leeds had like a Tony Yeboah and Viduka. I bet most clubs wish they had a Viduka or a Tony Yeboah, but they've just not got that top striker that's finishing off their great work, Martin, and they are absolutely flying in all positions.
Yeah, Eddie Nketiah, he couldn't get in the team last season. He'd be sticking them in for Leeds, the amount of chances they create. It was a very strange game against Arsenal. I thought Leeds should have won 5-0. They created so many chances and they just didn't bring their shooting boots.
They're not ruthless enough. They've not got a natural... They say about Bamford scoring. They've not got like an Ian Wright. They've not got a Danny Ings, a Vardy. That's what they need to go out and make sure their priority, because everything else is in... Listen, some of these players look better in the Premier League than they did in the Championship.
Yeah, very impressed with them so far. I love the way they played. They're very ambitious, and I can't see them going another 90 minutes without getting on the score sheet. Everton have only kept 1 clean sheet, and that was the opening day of the season against a Spurs team that looked pretty tired. Since then, they've just been leaking goals. Obviously, they won 4 in a row, and everyone was excited, and they drew 2-2 with Liverpool, and everyone was saying they could get in the top 4. And they suffered 3 defeats in a row, and it started looking really dodgy for them. So he went 3 at the back last weekend. Alex Iwobi, which I've never seen before, playing as a right wing back, and Luca Digne pushing up. So it worked for them going forwards. James Rodriguez didn't have any defensive responsibilities, but they looked really poor at the back against Fulham. And then you've got Leeds struggle against the back 3. They got beaten by Wolves. They got taken apart in the other game. And Palace, yeah. And I just think that, yeah, they're going to leave gaps, but they're going to find gaps to exploit in this Everton defence. So I'm going both teams to score. I'd like to go both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. Just a little bit worried about Leeds' finishing ability. So I fear it could be 1-1. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, something like that. So I think I'm safe with both teams to score.
Yeah, I think that is probably the way to go, both teams to score. I just don't know how I'm going to have Leeds in my bag, because I like having Leeds in my bag. I'm just worried about Everton letting me or killing me like they did last week. 3-2, and I missed a penalty. Now, next game, I don't mind we put a line for it, because every single overs, unders, draw, away win, home win. West Brom at plus 165, Martin. Draw plus 225. And Sheffield United at plus 200. Just fill your boots with this one.
Well, it's a huge relegation 6-pointer. These are the two managers that are the joint favourites to be the first one sacked this season. Been a horrific fall from grace for Chris Wilder, who drew all sorts of plaudits last season. Hasn't worked out for him this time around. West Brom put in a couple of decent performances, but the results haven't been there. Slaven Bilic looks a little bit lost as well. So it's a huge amount at stake in this game. Sometimes that can result in pinball football, where it ends up 4-3. Sometimes it can result in a really dreary, turgid 0-0 draw, because they're both so worried about losing. So I agree, put a line through it and move on.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance that this is an unders. I really don't, because I think that Sheffield United are going to go there and say, well, let's just throw caution to the wind. This is a game that we need to and we can win. And West Brom's just go on the front foot. Listen, they did well against Man United, but Man United were a garbage again. So, and they let me down, by the way. I had them -1 and they ended up winning 1-0. What do you see, Matt, if anything?
God, this one is so tough. It really is. I mean, I look at it and I want to take the class that I believe in Sheffield United from their 2019 campaign. That's where I look at this. I want to say that this is a match that Chris Wilder has circled as we can win this one. We can grab 3 points. Draw no bet at 2.05 would be the way that I would go here. Maybe both teams to score no at -120. I mean, I do see this one is still a bit cagey. It's really hard to really find an angle here. So I have passed this one, but if I had to, I would trust Wilder here, and there's no question about it.
Yeah, I just think anything's possible. So basically leave it. Now, what about this for a game down on the South Coast? The Mighty Saints, plus 300. Who are you kidding? Draw plus 270 and Man United at plus 100. Right, a blind man, which is me, both teams score. Let's start that now, because Man United don't keep clean sheets. They kept a clean sheet last week against West Brom, and that's because West Brom are a dog and they got a few decisions go their way. Matt, Southampton double chance. Both teams to score an over, but there's no chance both teams to score is a no.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, if you look at the way that Man U played, even Istanbul, they go up 3-0. They field a really attacking side. It was one of those where I was like, wow, finally Solskjaer has figured it out. He's played Van de Beek in the middle of the park, and their front four was fantastic. If they feature something like that again, I could have some interest, because that's where I think we all had some interest in Manchester United towards the back end of the last campaign. He was fielding a really attacking side, and they were able to score goals. Here it's very interesting. I really like Southampton. They've been so solid at the back. That's the one thing, is Southampton have been keeping some clean sheets. I really like what they have to offer here. It was 1-1 against Wolves, but they did a decent job on the road there at Molineux. It's one of those where I do want to see the lineups. I think that both teams to score and over is in play, and I would rather be on Southampton today than I would be on United. So that's kind of where I've left this one.
Yeah, I mean, back when I played, it was down at the Dell. We used to farm this game. I remember us beating them 6-3 one game. The big problem I have with ruling out Man United winning this game is that Southampton seem to have a little bit of a weakness for being hit on the counter-attack. And the one thing we know about Man United is Martial one side. He might play Daniel James. They catch pigeons. And then Rashford, Martial last week, They didn't kick a ball for every minute that was on the pitch. So Man United played with like 7 or 8 men. Fernandes had his worst game, Martin. Goals in this game?
Yeah, probably Flash. That was my favourite quote so far. Man United do not keep clean sheets. I mean, they kept a clean sheet in their last game, but
Yeah, but that was only down to the referee, and they're playing West Bromwich Albion, who are championship material.
True. And they conceded against Istanbul.
Yeah, they were pretty poor last night. I mean, I think I was a bit worried in the end. I had them minus 1.5, and they were looking comfortable at half time. And then, yeah, they were hanging on for that to cover that spread. I was glad that they did hold on. Fernandes did have a very good game as well. I just never quite know what I'm going to get from Man United. They sometimes they put in a really good performance, really impressive, lots of pace, lots of incision, really good going forwards. Sometimes they just don't turn up. They're so insipid that I don't know what's going on there. So I just drew a line through this one and moved on.
Okay, Baz, I agree with you. Fernandes is definitely one of the best, if not the best performing midfielder this season, without a doubt. But he also had an absolute shocker last Sunday, because I was on Man United -1. And honestly, him, Martial, Rashford, they probably won't play collectively as bad again this season. It's just because I put the Bockers on it. Biggest game of the weekend, this. Chelsea +100. Draw +250. Spurs +260. Spurs get ahead. Lucky. Keeper, no man's land. Son slots it home. Did not see Spurs getting beaten after that. The old Inter Milan days, the old Chelsea days of Mourinho. It just looked identical. They weren't going to break them down. They were so organised. They look so strong when they get in front. Martin, do Spurs get in front in this game? That's the big one, because Chelsea, they look on the other side of the defence. They look to score every time they go forward. I'm just wondering if they cancel each other out and we sit here at the end of 90 minutes and go, well, it was obvious. It's a draw.
Yeah, it could well be a draw. Spurs have been terrific in recent weeks, top of the table after that very, very impressive victory over Man City. Composite Mourinho.
What was impressive about it for you?
Yeah, like you said, just the way they controlled the game management after going 1-0 up, very strong in midfield, and they really kept their shape. They didn't let Man City create anything. And I was just so impressed by Harry Kane, the way he dropped into deep areas, the way he held the ball up, that pass for Lo Celso to make it 2-0. I just thought they did a really good job of negating Man City's attacking threats, and he'll be delighted to get one over on Pep Guardiola, because there's no love lost between them two. Now he has to get the better of his former midfielder. Lampard, obviously a key pillar in that famous
one of
Chelsea
the untouchables.
Mid-2000s, yeah, he was a good lieutenant on the pitch for Mourinho during that time. Again, not a great deal of love lost between them anymore. They had a bit of a falling out on the touchline during that League Cup clash earlier this season. But yeah, I think Lampard's unbeaten against Mourinho as a manager. Got the better of him at Derby, and Chelsea beat Spurs home and away last season. So they're going to have a lot of confidence coming into this game. These are just two teams in terrific form, both full of confidence. Like you say, they could well cancel one another out. Chelsea are obviously, they're the highest scoring team in the league now this season. Been blowing teams away recently. Ziyech has been phenomenal. Tottenham, Kane and Son look unstoppable right now. And I can see both teams getting on the score sheet in this one, but I don't think it's going to be a huge high-scoring game. They concede about a goal per game each. I would be worried about maybe a 1-1, maybe 2-1. Leaning towards Spurs. I think there's very good value there for them. I'm just not sure, because they're playing tonight. Even if he rests a lot of players, some of them might still be a bit fatigued. Some of the fringe players that he fields, so that's putting me off betting on Spurs. So I'm going to go both teams to score an under 4.5 goals.
It's a great game. It really is, because we've got two contrasting styles. And remember, we're not ruling out the fact that Spurs have come with plenty goals, especially on the counter-attack, in the way of Song. I mean, the way that Kane drops into that hole and he has runners. Under 2.5 goals, Matt, is +100.
I like it. I do like it. I mean, think about just when you go back to Spurs and Man City. I mean, there was one goal that was disallowed due to a slight offsides on Harry Kane. They carved Man City from back to front like a Thanksgiving turkey in that one. I mean, it was brilliant from them. And so they didn't end up counting that one, but they were so solid last week. And it's just hard for me, guys. I've talked about Spurs, I think, week in and week out, and Chelsea. I mean, these are two teams that I really do like this season, especially going forward in the coming weeks. I mean, let's just look at it. Chelsea have conceded 2 goals in their last 8 matches. Spurs, 3 in their last 8. This feels like unders to me. Under 3 goals, you might have to pay a little bit of price. Minus 150 to minus 160 on that. But I don't see 4 goals here, guys. And so for me, I think that the draw probably has the most value. So I've gone with Spurs plus a quarter here at plus 110. And I think that it's worth a shot here. I think that they can get half of my stake back. I think that this is draw kind of written all over it. There is a couple concerns, though, from Spurs. Alderweireld won't be in play here for a couple weeks now due to an injury. So that is one thing to look towards here. But I see this as 2 former colleagues essentially keeping this one cagey.
Yeah, I've actually gone for the draw. I even had a conversation with my friend Tony, who is in Spain at the moment, big Arsenal fan, and I thought that this could be 0-0, and he went, Jesus, that's ballsy. But anyway, I might even have a little bit on the draw, half-time, full-time as well. But I've definitely gone for the draw, and I've done it in a treble as well. Martin, Arsenal plus 100, draw plus 230, Wolves plus 290. Wolves double chance, or do Arsenal get back to winning ways? Because when all Arsenal are a plus 100 or plus anything, they very seldom win.
Oh, I don't know, Flash. I would have been in much better profit last weekend if I hadn't bet on Arsenal to beat Leeds. I just thought, must-win game. They've got to go and do it. They got absolutely taken apart in the first half. But it did seem like the sort of game that Arsenal could win. They've been so lucky throughout. Leeds hadn't taken their chances, and you felt that Arsenal would get something late on. But then, brainless from Nicolas Pepe, headbutting that Alioski. I mean, he went down like he'd been shot when Pepe barely touched him, but you just can't do that. Players know now that you can't do that. So that robs Arteta of another attacking option in this game. It means he's definitely going to have to play Willian, which isn't particularly exciting. Who knows? He didn't make the wholesale changes that I was expecting for that Leeds game after how bad Arsenal had been in the previous match. I think it's going to be a very tense, tight, boring game. It's the way Arsenal play now. They're they were once the great entertainers of the league, but now they're sort of trying to hark back to the George Graham days, and it's not much fun. Not much fun for the neutrals, I can imagine. Anyway, Wolves aren't an ambitious team at all. They keep things tight, keep things compact, and try to get low-scoring victories. So if I was going for anything, I'd be looking at under 2.5 goals. But I checked, and the value's not really there. So maybe I would. Maybe I'd be looking at plus 230 on the draw. Looks quite good. Don't see this being a classic game, and I think it's one to pass.
Yeah, I think the Wolves will fancy this game. I mean, this is like a Europa League tie. I think they're both going to be given plenty of time on the ball. Yeah, you're right. Wolves will keep it steady. I mean, draw half-time. Double chance Wolves, draw no bet Wolves. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I've gone for double chance Wolves here. We know that this is one of those teams that likes to step up to good competition, and Arsenal is still an elite side in this league. No matter how they've been playing or not, it's still a big team, and Wolves will fancy their chances. We talked about it last week, and we all leaned on the under in Wolves Southampton. It was at the same price as this match is right now. Under 2.5 at minus 150 is right where this one sits as we talk. It's really, really hard to find this game having 3 goals because Wolves are just going to give away possession like they always do. I always just think back to the Wolves match against Sevilla in the Europa League semifinal in the summer. And they gave away about 75, 80%. And we're still able to hang around for quite some time. Their XG numbers are horrible. But I have gone for Wolves double chance here because Arsenal are in such a rough bit of form here, and especially in front of goal. Wolves will fancy their chances, one. This is one of the last matches that we will see the Emirates without any fans in the stands. So I am going to go with the away side here to be able to at least grab a point.
Okay. Yeah, I've got to leave it. I've got to leave it because obviously everything points towards the away side, and then this is the type of game where they all turn up and they put on, and then everyone next week could be saying what a great job Arteta's done. He's turned it round, and they score 4, so I'm leaving it. Now, this next game is either a trap or a gift, and it's one of those. It's Leicester, minus 195, draw plus 325, Fulham plus 550. The reason I say this, Matt, is that Fulham went to West Ham, big, strong side West Ham, and totally dominated for 90 minutes. Then they scored twice and missed a penalty last week against Everton. Leicester they look decent at Anfield against Liverpool last week. They play on the counter. They've got pace in wide areas. They've got dangerous players. Now, if you think Leicester are going to win, then you go Leicester -1, or you go Leicester and both teams to score, and Leicester win comfortably. But do Leicester win, Matt? That's the question.
Oh, this is one that I cannot figure out because I'm not a fan of Leicester this season. I've talked about it week in, week out. I've lost on them a few times this year. They've burned me because I've been trying to fade them in every way, shape, or form possible. And Fulham's not a side that I really want to back. This is the perfect bounce back spot for Leicester. You get Liverpool at Anfield, you lose 3-0, and then what? You get to come home and you get to play Fulham. It's a perfect bounce back spot. I can only look towards Leicester here in some way, shape, or form. Leicester in the over 1.5. That would be the way that I would go here because I saw Fulham's defense last week. They were getting sliced and diced by Everton in the opening minutes. That first half, the match should have already been over by Everton in that first half, the way that they were carving them up. So it's Leicester here or it's nothing for me. Maybe an over 2.5 could be in play as well.
But Sean, little Scotty Parker knows this time of day. He knows he's got to drop deep, he's got to frustrate, and they move together in a unit. And that's exactly what they did at West Ham, and they didn't get anything. What do you think here, Mike? 'Cause it's a tough game to call.
Yeah, I think it's a gift. I think it's a perfect opportunity for Leicester to return to winning ways. They won 7 in a row before that Liverpool game. We know they struggle against Liverpool already because they lost 4-0 there last season. But they've been terrific in recent weeks. Jamie Vardy's on fire, 8 goals in 9 games. The supporting cast is fantastic. James Maddison, Harvey Barnes, looks like a quality player. If he can get the end product right, he'll be brilliant. Yuri Tielemans is great on the ball. I just think they should be far too good for Fulham here. He's a nice guy, Scott Parker, but he doesn't really seem to have the tactical acumen for this role. And Fulham are a team that finished 4th in the Championship last season. They haven't made any investment in their squad since then of note. And they look every bit a Championship team out of their depth. I think they're cruising to finish in the bottom 2, perhaps bottom of the table at this rate. I know you've been impressed with them in recent weeks, and they could have had back-to-back draws if they knew how to take penalties. But I just think against a team like Leicester, Brendan Rodgers is a better manager for me than Scott Parker. He'll outfox him in this one, and I think they've just got better players, so they'll win the midfield battle. And Jamie Vardy should relish the opportunity to play against this leaky defence. So Leicester and over 1.5 goals looks like a great bet to me.
Okay, the last game is another one of those where I think both teams do score, but I wouldn't go trying to pick the winner, especially after Villa win 3-0 at the Emirates, then get beat at home. And West Ham just find a way to go back-to-back with 1-0. West Ham plus 130, draw plus 270, Villa plus 200. Martin, David Moyes, luckiest manager on the planet.
No, I think David Moyes has done an excellent job this season. Aston Villa take all the plaudits because at times they've played champagne football. They took Liverpool apart. They absolutely wiped the floor with Arsenal. It's been brilliant. They've really raised their game against the elite sides, but they've really struggled against lesser opposition. I don't know if it's a question of motivation. So I'm not sure how they'll fare in this one. I think West Ham are the team that have really surprised me this season. They deserve a lot of credit because they've been battling relegation every season in recent years, and the defence has been terrible. That's always been the problem with West Ham. But he's really toughened them up this season. He's made them difficult to play against. They're organised, they're disciplined, they're everything that West Ham haven't been for the past decade. And fair play to them. They're keeping clean sheets, they're scraping narrow victories, and I think they'll get something out of this game. I think Moyes goes in with a game plan to negate Grealish and Barkley, and I can see the worst them getting is a draw, but I think they might win it. So West Ham draw no bet for me.
Ugly game, Matt. Ugly game.
It is. So I just was looking up on my phone. So it looks like West Ham have been handed an injury boost potentially with Antonio coming back into the side here this week. That's a big get for them. I mean, the guy has he's been their talisman, and we've talked about it. But this is a match here that in the summertime I played as a both teams to score in over 2.5. It's not something I've pulled the trigger on today, but it's something that if the lineups are right here, and I think they will be, both teams to score in over 2.5 is only at 1.95. It's not like you're not having to lay a bunch of juice, and I expect both of these teams to find the back of the net because that's what they do. I mean, both of these teams have quality up front enough to be able to get a goal against a slightly weaker defense. I still don't trust either of these defenses. I think that this match has 3 goals in it, so I'm not going to pick a winner. I'll stay away from the side, but I think that both teams are scoring over. Alex Classic looks okay here.
Yeah, the one that kills me is that did they draw? So West Ham, they drew 1-1 with Man City, then they get a lucky 1-0 against Fulham. Fulham miss a penalty. Then they get another dodgy 1-0 away at Sheffield United, more resolute, I guess. I've just got to leave it alone because I think anything could happen. Let's have a look at the official picks, though, that we're going to go for this weekend, because I fancy there's plenty of money to be earned. Please, Fab. Liverpool and over 1.5 at -120 for Martin. Everton, both teams to score. That's not Everton to win and both teams to score. That's just both teams to score in the Everton game at -160. Tottenham versus Chelsea, both teams to score an under 4.5 at +110. So I hope that's a 2-2 for you, Martin. Leicester to win and over 1.5 at -125. So there's your gift. And West Ham draw no bet at -135. Matt's picks. And he's got his 3 stars out for the first time this season. Everton, Alex Classic at -110. Spurs plus 0.25 +113, and Wolves plus half a goal at -120. And mine is Chelsea draw at +255. And then I've gone with Liverpool to win and over 1.5, Man City -1.5 in a banker parlay at +170. I'm looking to pick up 3.5 units there, and I will be having a little bit on them both individually as well. Now we need a 2-team parlay. Anything from our third guest. Remember, you're our third guest, so we'll go from there. Dina says touchdown Texans. Sorry for me for just flying across, but we cover every sport here, and we're starting to go. So that means that Matt's happy because he goes over the team total. 2-team parlay, please. Martin, give me your first one.
Liverpool to beat Brighton.
And what? And Liverpool over 1.5?
Sure.
-120?
Yeah, happy with that.
Yeah, I like that. Matt?
Mm-hmm. Both teams to score, Everton Leeds.
Yeah, we like that as well, funnily enough. Everton, both teams to score. What price was that? Can you remember?
That's about -160, I believe, is the
squirrel.
So
okay, Liverpool and over 1.5. Liverpool to win and over 1.5 at -120. And Everton, both teams to score with Leeds at -160. That's our 2-team parlay. And by the way, if you go over and have a look at our Bundesliga video, I don't even know why I do it. It's like mice and the cheese, but I let Alex have a 3-team parlay for this week. So there is 9 selections, and the last lot will be tomorrow with La Liga. Martin will be with me. Roman from La Liga Lowdown. Matt, go on then, go and feast yourself with that turkey. I want photos put on Twitter. In fact, all of our American friends, keep putting on Twitter. Copy me in at @flash_37. I want to see all your great pictures so I can salivate. Martin, I'll see you tomorrow. Everyone in the chat, even Rude Boy, who tries to be a troll. But we know you're just a lovely, cuddly teddy. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.